You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Wednesday. As promised, we have a big show here on the Locked On Wolverines podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire, but we are also joined today with later we're going to have Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans, but first we have a really big special guest in Rico Beard from 97.1 The Ticket. He co-hosts the Valenti Show with Rico Beard. Rico, thank you so much for joining, man. Very excited to have you.
Thanks, Isaiah. Big guess. Was that a fat joke to start it off with?
No, it is not. You know, you and I are boys, and people think that you can't transcend rivalries and things of that nature, but we're living proof that you can.
Trust me. Yeah, I don't live, eat, and breathe this stuff as most people seem to think that I do. Yeah, grew up, seriously, my best friend's a Wolverine fan. We've been going at it for about 45 years or so. So it happens.
It does. Half of my family are Ohio State fans. So, even though now I'm in the media and I'm not rah-rah or anything like that, I still will get messages from my aunt after Michigan inevitably loses to Ohio State, trying to razz me. And I'm like, I'm at a press conference right now. Can you leave me alone for a minute?
Right.
So it does happen, but I want to get more insight on the Spartans from you. I've got my opinions based off the few games that I have seen, which I've seen 2 games in full. I've seen little bits and pieces of some of the other ones, but you follow this obviously way more closely. So I just want some more insight from you. First off, why is Michigan State? Why are they so vastly improved? Because certainly going into the season, I did not have them very high on my preseason power rankings. It just didn't seem like there was much going for this team going into this year. They proved me wrong, very, very wrong. So what has changed? Why are they having the success?
Bill Tucker called lightning in a bottle. What he did was he hit the transfer portal and he got rid of 40 players. And the thing is, when you take a look at what happens with those 40 players went on and they're playing group of 5 or division 2. So it tells you the amount of talent that he had. And he went into places like the SEC and got Ronald Williams, Kavaris Crouch. He brings in Kenneth Walker III. He upgraded this team and it all worked. I mean, it's all falling into place. And the funny thing is, he still has half of the transfers that have not even played yet. But, going out and getting the other corner, Kimbrough from Florida, these are guys that practice and played up against big competition in the SEC, and it's translating right now into the Big Ten. That you're seeing that, and then he went in there and he's got this team believing his philosophy. The offense is opened up. It's fun to watch. I mean, people talk about the Michigan State big plays all the time because he's all about winning, and whatever it takes to win, they're going to do that to win. And some days it's going to be Walker, some days it's going to be Thorne. It's been games where they had to lean on the defense. It was games, they had to lean on the special teams. But in the end, they're 7-0 right now.
Now, that actually leads me to I was going to ask this much later, but I'm going to ask it now. With all the transfers, considering that there aren't as many guys that grew up in this rivalry, because it tends to be this idea that guys from Michigan State hate Michigan because maybe they were overlooked by Michigan. Maybe they were from a Michigan State family, whatever it might be. You don't have that this time in a lot of your star players. Not all, obviously. Panashuk is still there. Peyton Thorne, some guys who were tried and true recruited by Michigan State. But is there any concern at all for you that maybe some guys aren't going to have that same level?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of a silly remark because you got Xavier Henderson, who's the captain of the team. He's been around for all of this. They know what this is. Tucker has preached this game to them. So not being around, no. As a matter of fact, they may still be hungry because remember, these guys all came from the island of misfit toys. They came from the transfer portal. They weren't wanted where they were before. So they're still trying to prove what they have. I mean, Isaiah, to say that would be the same as saying, well, is there a concern for Michigan's coaching staff because you brought in so many assistant coaches and they've never coached in this game? Sans Mike Hart and Ron Bellamy. What does Mike McDonald know about the rivalry? Is he going to have his team fired up? So I think that's just
honestly, I am a little concerned about that, actually, believe it or not. But I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson will tell these guys, hey, we got to go out here, we got to play, we got to do whatever. So let's just hope that they take the time to learn the Michigan State players. I read your article about Vincent Gray and colored me shocked. He had no idea who Ricky White was. He probably still dreams of Ricky White to this day.
Almost certainly. So I want to ask about the state kind of my concern. Like I said, I try to approach this as unbiased as I possibly can. My concern for Michigan State is when its offense has gone up against a defense with a pulse, it has not been as good as it had in some of the other games against Nebraska, against Indiana. Certainly some offensive struggles. What's your concern level as far as that? Obviously, Michigan has not been tested as much defensively against a high-powered offense, but what's your concern level, and kind of what do you think that they can do to kind of break out of the doldrums if they find themselves in it?
Well, the concern, I mean, everybody points to that Nebraska game, but I would point to a play early in the third quarter. Everything was rolling with the team, and then Peyton Thorne took a hit. He should have slid, but he didn't. He went forward and got hit in the head. I think he may have been concussed, or he was never the same after that. He was off on all of his throws. If you go back and actually rewatch the game, I know a lot of people just like to take the game as a whole, but up until that hit, they were having their way with Nebraska. So I think maybe something happened with that. Indiana came out prepared. Indiana has really good core linebackers, and they just shut the run down, and they kind of forced Thorne to react quickly, and he wasn't able to hit his receivers in stride, and Michigan State got real predictable. I wonder in that Indiana game, because at that point they had just launched the whole Kenneth Walker for Heisman campaign. If they didn't become a victim of that and trying to really force feed Walker in that game, when Indiana was saying, Walker's not going to beat us, what else do you have? Later on in the game, when they abandoned trying to go to Walker, they run out the trick play, they do whatever they had to do, and they won the game. But I think for a half, they were married to the fact that they were trying to get Walker 200 yards. And we have to, once again, remember, not only do you got a bunch of transfers, Mel Tucker's, in my opinion, is in year one. And I think this was a coaching growing pains that you saw of, okay, let's not get caught up in the hype. Let's not, take our opponent and think, oh, we could just do whatever. So, yes, when you look at those games, Nebraska in the second half did come back, but I'm not saying this is the reason why. But if you watch the game, in the first half, they had their way. They were able to run the ball. They were able to move the ball. Thorne takes that hit, and he couldn't throw the ball 10 feet. He was either short, behind. It was something was off after that. He recovered, but for that game, it wasn't there in the second half.
Just a couple more for you, Rico. Now, looking at the defensive side of the ball, it's kind of an anomaly in the sense that when you look at the stats, and obviously we're looking at more than just the stats, but when you look at the stats and you look at where the total defense is, yards allowed per game, they're allowing a lot, and most of that's through the passing game. But when you look at the scoring defense, what Michigan State's actually allowing, it's one of the top defenses in the country. Right. What is happening with the defense? Explain to me why there's that disparity.
Here's what you're going to hear a ton of times. Anybody who watched the game, I mean, if you took a shot every time you hear this phrase, you'd be drunk by halftime. Bend but don't break defense. That's what they have. Where keep everything in front of you. Don't let anybody get behind you. And once you get to the 25-yard line to the red zone, it stiffens and tightens, and they keep teams from scoring touchdowns and either forces them to kick field goals or makes them think that they can make it on the fourth down and Michigan State will get a stop or they'll get a turnover. That's what the defense does. From the 20 to the 20, yeah, you'll see quarterbacks make a lot of completions and it looks like the corners are complete garbage, but something happens. They bring the blitz, they bring the pressure, the front four hits home, they cause a sack, and what started off as 1st and 10 from the 10 ends up being 4th and 37 from the 40-yard line. So That's what they're known to do. Well, they just don't let people get behind them. So there's not a ton of big plays that happen against Michigan State. If you're patient enough to dink and dunk, which may work in Michigan's benefit, that works. But if you try to go deep on them, it's almost like they're daring you. Just go ahead and try to go deep because you don't think we're a bunch of scrubs. That's when they end up getting their picks. And if you get in the red zone, I mean, you better score on a long play because they're going to tighten that thing up and you're going to end up kicking field goals and getting frustrated.
All right, last one for you, and it's a two-part question. Michigan State wins the game if, and conversely, Michigan, in your eyes, wins the game if?
Well, Michigan wins the game if they adhere to their plan and just become very methodical. That is not a derogatory thing. It's a formula that has worked. I know a lot of people, Michigan fans, which I'm still shocked you have me on here, but I know a lot of Michigan fans think, oh, you got to go JJ. No, stick with Cade because with Cade, every possession ends in a kick. Now, it's not always an extra point or a field goal. Sometimes it's a punt, but you wear the opponent down. You lean on your defense. Wisconsin and Iowa have done this for years. And that's what you're doing now. Play within yourself. Stay in your lane. Don't get caught up in the emotion. And on defense, if you can disrupt Peyton Thorne and, throw off that offense, you can win that game. On the flip side, if you're Michigan State, what you need to do is establish Peyton Thorne. What you have to do is get him in rhythm. And if I'm a Spartan coach, if I'm Jay Johnson, the OC, I designed the first, 8 out of 10 plays just to get him warmed up and comfortable because once he hits a rhythm, now everything clicks and falls into place, whether it's Walker, whether it's deep throws, whether it's flea flickers, whether it's whatever, you're going to find things. Also, if I'm Peyton Thorne, wherever Daxton Hill is, I'm just not going to throw his way. I'm going to give him the Jalen Ramsey treatment. And I respect you enough. You're an All-American. I'm not going to touch you. I'm going to go after my other guys. I'm going to hit Naylor. I'm going to hit Trey Mosley, the tight end, Connor Haywood. But I'm not going to – if you're going to cover Jaden Reed, like last year, Jaden Reed may finish the game with one catch. If you're Michigan State's defense, you win this game. Basically, you bring 7-8 in the box, and you dare Cade McNamara to beat you with his arm. And, no one knows what he can do. But, yeah, it's like, okay, we're going to shut down your run game. If we're going to lose, Cade has to win. Now, ironically enough, that's Michigan State's biggest Achilles heel is the secondary. But it's also Michigan's weakness, their passing game. So, yeah, I would put weakness against weakness. You normally don't hear that. But I would go weakness against weakness in this game. And I think if you go that route, Michigan State would win.
I wholly agree. And it's Cade McNamara. We'll see what he's got on Saturday. Now, see, I think that was easy, right? I don't think if you're a Michigan fan watching this and you're upset watching or listening,
Michigan fans, all they heard was blah, blah, blah. Sparty's going to win. Sparty's going to win. Michigan sucks. That's all they heard from me.
I hope that I think that the people who listen and watch this show, I like to think they're a little bit more enlightened. Hopefully that's the case. But anyway, thanks again, Rico. I know you've got to go on air here in a minute, so appreciate your time, man.
All right. Thanks, Isaiah. Thanks for having me.
Huge thanks to Rico Beard. We will be coming up here momentarily with Matt Sheehan from Locked On Spartans. But before we do, got to tell you a little something about PrizePicks. Have you heard about PrizePicks? PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and you will too. PrizePicks offers every sport you can think of, like NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, MLB, soccer, MMA, and more. PrizePicks offers more college football props than anyone in the world and offers the star players of the Power 5 as well as mid-major players you might not have ever even heard of. PrizePicks offers any prop you can think of, from yardage to touchdowns, even interceptions thrown. Anyone who makes that deposit using the promo code Locked On will receive a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100. $100, by the way. If you can pick 2 to 5 players and an over/under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. It's just you versus the projected numbers. PrizePicks allows mixed sport entries. You can take the over on LeBron combined with the under on Mahomes in the same entry. Use the award-winning app on both the Apple App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. PrizePicks is safe, and it offers fast withdrawals. So don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com or go to the Apple App Store or Google Play. Download the app today. PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy.
All right, so we continue Spartanspalooza as far as our preview is concerned, as we now are going to shift gears and welcome. He doesn't realize that no one can see him just yet, but now they can. That's Matt Sheehan from Locked On Spartans. So we're going to continue to delve into what Michigan State presents. So, Matt, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining.
No, thanks a lot for having me, man. I'm sure all your listeners are thrilled to hear my voice right now. This is a very, very high honor to be on this podcast. Thank you.
Well, we're touching all bases here, and hey, I didn't pair you with Joel Klatt, so it wasn't like
Thank you, appreciate that. I've been a lot of well, I don't want to swear. I've been a lot of yelling or crying about it on my part. I will admit. So thank you, appreciate that.
Well, I felt like if I paired you there, then people would be like yay, Joel. Then someone talking Spartans, from the Spartan side. Yeah. Right, so we're avoiding all of that. So anyway, first and foremost, I just kind of want to get your thoughts on. We touched with Rico about what's been different for Michigan State and all of that kind of stuff. I want to know what you think. I mean, we know kind of the obvious, but I still want to know what your thoughts are about the strengths and the weaknesses of this Michigan State team thus far.
Yeah, no doubt. So the strengths are the two obvious. And the first one, I'm going to go with something that's been kind of prevalent in Michigan State football for the last few years, quite some time, is a good front six, or, well, now front six, used to be a front seven, but solid against the run game. That's just Michigan State football, always has been under Mark D'Antonio. And the other obvious one is something that we haven't seen in, quite some time. An offense that could actually get like yards and score touchdowns. Like what? So that's been very nice. So those are the two obvious things. The weakness that is the reason I'm not sleeping well at night, and it really shined, or I guess the opposite of shined if you're a State fan like myself, is the offensive line in the run game. Like, yes, we have Kenneth Walker, awesome Heisman candidate, great running back. He is just great at erasing the offensive line's mistakes. But 2 weeks ago against Indiana, the blocking was so bad he didn't even get the chance to like digest what was happening in front of him and even erase those mistakes. So, but that said, fine, Indiana's like solid, but like they're not like what we'll be seeing on Saturday. So that is what is having me staying up thrashing as I lay in bed every single night. Yeah.
Well, you touched on Kenneth Walker. I don't want to avoid the usual suspects because we do know,
of course,
Peyton Thorne, Jalen Naylor, Jaden Reed, Micah Panishuk. Outside of those, and I know some of the names you're probably going to say, but who should Michigan fans be paying attention to? What, maybe it's a couple people who are off the radar. I know linemen tend to fly under the radar unless they're, Panishuk in the way that he plays. But who are some of the guys that you think could be poised to have a big game, or Michigan would be stupid if they targeted them on defense, or hey, this is a guy that on offense Michigan really needs to try to exploit, or however?
Yeah, right on. So with the defense, I mean, they're not on the line, obviously, but it's the two safeties. Xavier Henderson, who that's probably a name that you've heard time and time again. He's been at Michigan State for 13 years, seemingly. So, and he's, experience helps with, like, he's just really had a giant step between last year and this year. I mean, we all thought he would take a step, but he's been leaps and bounds better than he was last year. And also the other young kid, Angelo Gross. Oh my God, he hits like he almost has like a bounty like in his scholarship that is contingent on, like he must separate someone's ribs from the rib cage in order for the scholarship to kick in. Like he just hits. So our safeties are fine, and the defensive line, that's the nice part about it, is that there's a lot of depth. So there's Jeff Petrowski, there's Maverick Hansen, there's Jacob Slade. I'm going to be forgetting names here, but that's been the nice part about the defensive line, is that it could be anyone's number at any given time, just because we have so much experience there, and it is kind of a revolving door there, but for a good reason, which I can't be said about the offensive line for us. So, yeah.
All right. So give me I'm going to obviously ask this part in two, but we'll start with part one. What is the thing that, come hell or high water, this is a hill you're dying on, this is one place that you are 100% confident in Michigan State going into this game? Like, no matter what, this is the thing that's going to work.
Well, God, it's really hard to look at last year's game and not think of just deep routes. But I know that part of that is silly because you guys' defense rather is a lot different than how Don Brown used to do it. Not a lot of press. You guys actually do in-game adjustments like Don Brown didn't do last year as like Ricky White was going off. But listen, I don't think the run game is going to be fantastic for Michigan State just because of the offensive line. I mean, look, Kenneth Walker can do great things, but the offensive line has to give him just a modicum of time to do these great things. So that said, I think it's going to have to be the deep ball game with Reed and Naylor. I mean, two guys that are amongst the best in the conference, if not the nation. I mean, so that's probably where I will throw all my eggs into the Reed and Naylor basket right there. Yeah.
Oh, you're throwing some shade at Ohio State, man. Jeez.
I am. I got to break bread with you guys somehow here. Yeah, we'll absolutely meet in the middle on that one. So no doubt.
So obviously, I mean, my next question obviously is, what are you least confident about? I don't know if you're going with the offensive line versus Michigan's defensive front. Or if you have another area that you are certainly concerned about.
Yeah, that would be it for sure. Specifically, the run game. Like it's weird too. It's like the offensive line has been fine for pass protection. Like fine, like not bad, not great, just fine. That said, they haven't necessarily faced an Aiden Hutchinson yet, so that also worries me as well. But to deviate off that, and this has been the hot topic too around well, anyone that wants to talk about this game is the defense. Like we do give up a lot of yards through the air, and no, like McNamara isn't some second coming of Tom Brady for you guys, but there is a big cushion here in the cover 3 defense that Michigan State likes to play, and moving the ball between the 20s will happen. Now, the game's going to obviously be predicated on what's going to happen inside the 20-yard line. So just the fact that, teams move the ball pretty easily on Michigan State between the 20s, that kind of concerns me too, because how long can you live on this bend, don't break defense? So far, after 7 games, you're doing okay, which is a good sample size, but still, something doesn't sit right with me about it. But here we are.
Are we sure that Cade McNamara is not the second coming of Tom Brady? I mean, right now everyone wants the freshman 5-star, just like everyone.
That's a very good point. That's a very, very, very good point. Oh boy. Oh God, I think we just jinxed ourselves into 4 touchdowns, 395 yards passing. Yeah, I just jinxed Michigan State to oblivion. So great, awesome.
So how do you see this game playing out? I have a theory that. Mm-hmm. All Michigan, and you might buck this trend, but I have a theory, and I didn't even ask Rico. Tomorrow, people will see what Audrey Dahlgren has to say, but I have a theory that all Michigan State people covering Michigan State are supremely confident that Michigan State gets the job done, and then when it comes to the Michigan side of the media, that the Michigan media is probably like 75% on Michigan. I think that there's those who look at the history of this team and say, well, Michigan should win, but they won't because what? So how do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, I'm in the small percentage of people that follow State that maybe don't see it going our way. But then again, that's probably just speaks of like who I am as a person. Like I could psych myself out for a game against like Holt High School if I really had to. So I go into every game mentally preparing for Michigan State loss just because that's how I was raised in the John L. Smith era. And that's prepare for the worst, pray for the best, something like that. So the way I can see this going, though, is just, and it's going to be nauseating in a 4.5 hour long game with 1,000 commercial breaks and Joel Klatt's in the call. And Michigan's just picking out 3.6 yards per carry, but it's always just enough to get a first down, and they grind it down the field, this and that. It's just a slow moving Big Ten game that, Michigan just like 3.8 yards per carries themselves into a win and able to dominate possession and also plays on offense too, because that's just kind of how I see it. That's not how I want it to happen, but
I'll tell you that you at least basically said what Michigan's game plan almost certainly is. That's the game they played against Wisconsin. I don't expect them to do anything different, right? So limited shots with Cade, try to run to set up the pass. And try to bottle up Kenneth Walker, make hope, for Michigan side, hopefully, Peyton Thorne's off his spot and has to try to make some big shots downfield. That's pretty much how I see it playing. I think it's going to be a close game. But nonetheless, all right, well, that'll do it for us here as far as me and you are concerned. So thank you again, Matt. You find him on Locked On Spartans, get a little bit more. I know you talked to Chris Castellani, so check from Barstool Sports. So you can check out that episode, figure out everything that's going on in the Spartan side by checking out Locked On Spartans. So thanks again, man.
No, hey, thanks, Lyman. Awesome time. So yeah, come yell at me on Twitter, guys. Too. We only got so many days left in hate week before it ends. So come aboard.
I think it's crazy that I feel like now Michigan fans, I don't know how they're going to react to Rico and you back to back, but nonetheless, I don't think either of you said anything that's that should be upsetting. So I think it's kind of surprising, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm here to play the upset card. I keep it quiet during rivalry week. Not really, but that's what I'm going to say right now.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Yep. And enjoy the weekend, but not too much, Yeah.
Matt Sheehan from Locked On Spartans. Thank you so much. Again, just so you know, an update, because if you tuned in today, if you didn't see my tweet and you tuned in thinking we had Joel Klatt today, that's been pushed to Thursday. We are doing 2 shows on Thursday, so get your mailbag questions in. That will still be happening. We are doing 2 shows. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be having Joel Klatt. I'm still told that is a go. So unless barring something happening, I'm told early tomorrow afternoon, I should have Joel Klatt. We've already talked to Audrey Dahlgren. So she will be from WLNS. She will be on the show as well. And then wrapping it up from there, kind of like we're doing here. But anyway, before we completely move on and I just kind of give some last second thoughts here, got to tell you a little bit about Built Bar. Y'all know how much I love Built Bar. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. It is phenomenal. I have put my money where my mouth is. I have bought dozens of boxes of it thus far. They've got this new paranormal pumpkin puff type bar, and it's phenomenal for this beautiful weather we're having if you're up in the Midwest. Anyhow, it's high cal. Nope. It's not that. High protein, low calorie, low carb. So I could be a glutton and have 2 at a time, and you know what? It still works for me. It still is less calories and more protein than getting a Metrics Big 100, which used to be my go-to. So don't delay. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your next order. That's Built.com. Promo code LOCKED15. All right, before we completely move on, obviously also want to tell you a little bit about betonline.ag with football season in full swing, more than halfway through the college football season at this juncture, believe it or not. It feels like it just started, which is crazy. BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. Of course, 10 games or so left for most teams in pro football, though. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head over to betonline.ag, sign up today, receive that 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Don't forget to use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive said bonus from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we pretty much are out of time here, but so I can't really wrap up too much. But considering it's probably gonna be the same thing on Thursday, I mean you'll have the mailbag, so that'll be what it is. But I do want to at least touch on kind of my thoughts about why I'm kind of becoming more optimistic about Michigan in this game. Obviously, Matt Sheehan is really he doesn't feel good about Michigan State. Rico does. But I think, although Rico does, but he basically said if Michigan plays its game, then it's game over for Michigan State. So we'll see. It obviously hinges a lot on Cade McNamara, what he's able to do. But I think that a large part as well is just like if all things kind of hold equal, Michigan State's penalized a lot. Michigan is not. Michigan State struggles offensively on third down. Michigan's defense is really good at getting off the field on third down. I feel like kind of like Wisconsin, certainly we're going to see different things from Michigan. Obviously, we're going to see some different things from Michigan State. Like it's clear they love trick plays. It's change coaches, still the same thing. You saw the reverse and the tight end throw to Peyton Thorne that inexplicably worked against Indiana. They love to have at least like a flea flicker a game. You're certainly going to have to deal with some misdirection. I'm sure they're going to try to throw a lot at Michigan. So if Michigan's defense can at least not break down, keep eye discipline, and I just think that the trench play for Michigan is so much better not like a ton better, but I mean, you heard what Matt Sheehan had to say. He thought that he's a little bit afraid of Michigan State's offensive line versus the Michigan defensive line. If these things all hold true, and one thing that I do want to note is usually you say, well, the team that runs the ball better is the one that ends up winning. That actually hasn't been the case in the Harbaugh era against Michigan State. The team that's run the ball more has lost 3 times. So 3-3 when it comes to that. So there's a lot of different things to pay attention to in this game. I like the fact that Michigan's more road tested. Yes, Michigan State played at Northwestern. That's not exactly a daunting environment. Yes, Michigan State played at Miami, Florida. Not exactly a daunting environment. Michigan State played at Indiana. Again, not exactly a daunting environment. Michigan has at least played at Wisconsin and Nebraska. I think Michigan's got a little bit more road test to them. So anyway, those are my thoughts as of today. Certainly they will change on a minute-by-minute basis. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 podcasts, the Michigan Mailbag. So make sure you get your questions in on Twitter. And actually, I'll be on 3 because I'll be on the Locked On Big Ten podcast as well. But then we also have the show that again, fingers crossed, it all still works out. I don't have a time set yet, but we are told that we are still getting Joel Klatt tomorrow on Thursday. And then we'll be talking to Audrey Dahlgren regardless because I've already had that conversation. It's ready to go. So thank you for watching and or listening. We'll talk to you then. Peace.